How do you like this for a garden design? I think I did an absolutely fabulous job of this part of the bed. Unfortunately, it was really by accident. I seen these seeds in the catalog for these castor beans, and I used to grow them years ago, and I thought, well, I'll give them another try. I don't grow a lot of annuals, but I know these are great plants, and this was a particularly red cultivar, and I thought, oh, I'll give it a try. I just popped them in here, did nothing for 2 months, and now they've just shot up and they're just such fabulous plants. And they go so well with my hydrangeas and my roses. So I have a hydrangea over here, I have another one here, and a couple feet that way, I have an oak leaf hydrangea. One of the biggest problems on social media is that when gardeners discuss hydrangea, they call them all hydrangea. Now they are hydrangea, but if you don't know which type you're talking about, the information is pretty much useless. You'll get someone saying, I plant my hydrangeas in full sun. The other person says, oh, no, I plant mine in full shade. Another person, how do I get them to go blue? I mean, all of these discussions are useless if you don't know the type. And that's what this video is all about. I'm going to go through a process that's pretty simple to let you figure out what type of hydrangea you have. Once you know that, you can figure out how much light to give it. You'll know how to prune it, and if it's not flowering, you'll be able to figure out why it's not flowering. If you don't know the type, you can't do those things. Before I get going, this type here is the arborescens, or the smooth hydrangea. It has these big balls of white flowers. Behind me here is a paniculata, or what a lot of people call the tree hydrangea, or the PG hydrangea. And then we have the oak leaf over there. So let's go through each of these and have a closer look at the types, and then I'll show you how to tell which one is which. Let's first review the various types of hydrangea. Probably the most popular one is the microphylla. It's also known as the mophead, the big leaf, and the lace cap. Now these aren't exactly the same, but most people put them in the same category. Then we have the quercifolia, or the oak leaf hydrangea. The paniculata. A lot of people call this the PG hydrangea, but that name is wrong. PG is a cultivar. It is a paniculata, but it's only one cultivar. It is incorrect to use that term to refer to all of the cultivars. Now, when they're pruned into a tree form, a lot of people call this the tree hydrangea. The next one is the arborescens. This is also known as the Annabelle, or the smooth hydrangea. Again, Annabelle is not a good name for this hydrangea because that refers to a particular cultivar of arborescens, but it is very common on social media. One that's not well known is serrata, and the common name for that is the mountain hydrangea. And last we have petiolaris, the climbing hydrangea. Now let's go through and figure out how you can identify the type that you have in your garden. There are a couple different ways to identify your plant. The first one I'm going to look at is growth habit. If the plant is climbing, so it's clinging to some sort of a wall, then it's definitely the climbing hydrangea. This one's actually pretty easy. If the hydrangea is a tree form, but that means it has a single trunk and then it has branches coming off of that trunk, then it's a paniculata type. None of the other hydrangeas are ever pruned into a tree shape. If the plant's a shrub, we need to have a look at the leaf shape to determine which one it is. If you look at the leaf and it looks like an oak leaf, so it has a number of points coming off along the edges, then you can be pretty sure it's the oak leaf type. If it's not an oak leaf, then you have to have a more detailed look at the leaves and count the number of leaves per node. A node is the point on the stem where one or more leaves are attached. Have a look at the older, larger leaves on the stem, since the newer leaves at the tip can grow differently. Look at all the stems, since the number of leaves can vary from stem to stem. If at least one node on the plant has 3 leaves coming out of it, as in this picture, it's a paniculata type. If none of the nodes have 3 leaves, then we have to look at the actual petiole length. The petiole is the short stem that connects the leaf to the main stem. Check how long this is and look at some older leaves. Again, young leaves will be shorter. We want to look at mature leaves for this measurement. If most of the petioles are more than an inch long, then you have an arborescens type. If most of the older petioles are less than an inch long, the type is probably a macrophylla. You can also identify the type of hydrangea you have by looking at the flowers. Of course, that assumes that the plant is currently flowering. Climbing hydrangea and oakleaf hydrangea are more easily identified by the leaves, as already discussed. Have a look at the shape of the flower head. If it's in the form of a cone, as shown in this picture, then it's a paniculata type. If the flower head forms a round ball or a flat disc, then it's either macrophylla or arborescens. To tell the difference between these, we want to have a look at the color of the flower. If the flower color of newly opened flowers is either blue, purple, or pink, you have a macrophylla type. If the flower buds open a green color, then turn white, and as they age, turn green or greenish brown, you have an arborescens type. If the flowers open white and stay white until they get old, then you probably have a macrophylla type. White flowering macrophylla types are less common, but they do exist. It's important to understand that new breeding is starting to produce some arborescens that have a pink tinge, as in this one. I suspect that new cultivars in the future will get pinker and pinker. Alright, so now you know which type of hydrangea you have. What do you do with this information? Well, if your plants are not flowering, have a look at my other video that will go through different things that you can check to try and understand why your plant's not flowering. And I'll put a link to that in the top right hand corner. If you want to read more about hydrangea myths, hop on over to my website, gardenmyths.com, and look up hydrangea myths. Hydrangeas are great plants for the garden, but it is important to know what type you have so that you know how to take care of that plant properly. I hope this video was some help. See you in the next one.